Yeah, warrior salute to you, Gren. It is great getting connected with you. Captain Subbu, as a warrior entrepreneur coach, it is my pleasure having a nice interaction with you in this nice weather post Nivar cyclone. Good evening, Gren. How
Good
are you?
evening, Captain. How are you doing?
Very well, fine. Gren, see, I've been attending a lot of webinars, seminars, and on various issues about business, entrepreneurship, everything. And one proverb generally they say is failing to plan is actually planning to fail. Okay. So when I was thinking about this, and like this morning, rather last night, continuation with this morning's Nivar cyclone, I just got a reminder that there is always a surprise in life, and it is common to everybody. Okay, but the only thing is, in anybody's life, whether it's business or in personal life, that surprise should not become a shock. So when I was thinking about this, it was like a reminder after reminder. Then I thought I should discuss with the right person, and you came into my mind, a planning coach. That is what is going to how the planning is going to make impact on life as well as business. So I think you can throw some insights into this topic. And before just starting, can you introduce yourself, Gren, so that we know more picture about yourself?
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Captain Subbu. Good evening, everybody watching this video live, as well as who would see the recording as well. I'm Grenville, planning coach, and I help entrepreneurs establish a profitable business. And that is with very simple planning principles, as Captain Subbu said. It's not a very complicated way, it's just a very simple application of planning principles that helps them take a normal business and make it profitable. So that's what I really do. I am in Chennai and I've been working with Captain Subbu for quite a while now. So we work together on these FBA Live videos to bring out what learnings we've had in our lives as well as in our professional career. Thank you, Captain.
Yeah, that's awesome, Gren. Just like I was attending, I myself an entrepreneur coach. I was attending a course. Then I realized, like I myself need to know a lot of things about entrepreneurship itself. Okay, so as a planning coach, because everybody, every business owner, every entrepreneur, or anybody for that matter, thinks that he has got a proper plan. And like, and in fact, I heard that also a plan is not that important. Planning is more important. Can you throw some light on how effective the plan should be? What are the various stages of planning, like that? How you are going to impose this planning in a structured way? Can you throw some light on that, Graham?
Sure, Captain. See, everybody does planning in some form or the other. Yeah, there is no one who does not plan. The part that does not come is the implementation part of the plan. So the issues that we always face is that everybody thinks that we know what we want and this is where I would like to go. But nobody really focuses on the pathway to get there. So from my perspective, what I really help everybody is that I go there and tell them, this is the path you take to get to your goals and to convert the plan into a reality. There is a saying that a plan is just a wish unless it's not converted into action. So the part that I come in is one, yes, I help people establish a plan, but I also help them in implementing the plan to convert it into a practical application rather than just keeping it as a plan.
That's awesome. This thing, as you said, I remember everything is like a dream. Okay, the only the one thing that can transform a dream into an action is a proper plan. There is a thing called wish power. Everybody wants, I want to be an IAS officer, I want to be so and so, so and so, so and so, and it continues like that. Okay, and as you said, the planning has to be a practical for implementation. How pragmatic and practical one feels that that plan should be, and how do I know that yes, what I'm actually planning is practical?
That's a very good question, Captain. As you said, see, you can make a wish list. Okay, that is not a plan. That is just a wish list of things that I would like to have. A plan is something that can be converted into a practical application and really implemented as a process. It should be a self-sustaining and a very grounded approach to applying the principles of planning. You cannot take a plan and say, I will get there while I make a loss, right? You are in a business of making money. So every plan has to be routed through the principles that we are going to make a profit, and the bottom line is the one that is going to be implemented. Let me start by giving you an example. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm eager to.
Great. So, for example, I had a customer who had a huge fabrication operation. Okay, I mean, he had a lot of projects and he was taking a lot of business, but he was always losing money. Okay, so when I went into them and I sat on, his point was that I need you to help me with cash flow. Okay, and my point to him is that I am not a financial planner. I don't help people with cash flow. More so, I help people in planning to manage their cash, which are two different things. So we sat down and reviewed what we were doing, and he was taking business at cost or below cost, which you can do in certain situations, but you cannot continuously take business at cost or below cost because you're paying salaries, you have overheads. You have to route your whole business through a process saying, I'm going to do a business and I'm going to make X amount of profit. That is how you plan your business. So having a plan without having the associated parts of business in your mind is an impractical way of planning. So with every customer, this is what I tell them. Yes, you have to have a mission, you have to have passion, but you need to differentiate between a business and a passion. If you are saying that this is my passion, then you call yourself an NGO or you call yourself a social service organization, which is fine. That means you do it without expecting any remuneration to come back to you, which is perfectly fine. But if you are doing a business, you are in it to make profit. And sometimes we feel that talking about profit is a bad thing. But everybody knows that nobody comes into business unless they want to make money. And okay, you can have unreasonable profit, or you can have a thing known as good profit, which is a profit that is grounded in practical application of the sales value versus the cost value, right? But in the end, businesses make money. So I always tell people, keep your plans grounded in reality, that in the end, you have people that you have employed, you are responsible to them and their families to provide for them as salaries and remuneration. You have a business to run, you are putting in your time and expertise. That also has to be converted into a profit, which is a return on your investment. So if you're in business, you have to have that return on investment, which is also a part of your plan. So that is how you actually make a plan a living practice, Captain. It's not a one-time thing that you make and put it in your shelf and you review it maybe when the next time you're having a problem. Then for sure you will not implement the plan that you have set out to do.
Well said, Gren. Actually, it's reminding me like even a charity is to be done like a business. If you don't do that, it will not, you can't sustain it on a longer run, and it dies on its own. It gets its natural death.
Correct.
To keep that in mind, can we say that the jargon of begin with the end in mind? Okay, can we apply the reverse engineering? As you said, when you're starting this thing, the end result is the profit making or whatever that achievement you call that in a different terms. How the reverse engineering works in your business planning process, Gren? Can you throw some light on that, Gren?
As you said, Captain, see, you cannot make a plan without evaluating the financials. So when I sit with my customers to devise a business plan, we first start with the mission or the goal or the passion of the entrepreneur. That is where everything starts. You can never be in a business that you're there just to make money. Okay, yes, everybody is in business to make money, but if that is the single driving factor, you will compromise on your ethics and your principles. And then your business will die because eventually you will not be driven to do that business. So I ask all my customers, would you be in this business if you were doing it for free? If the answer is yes, you are in the right business. You need to have a balance between your passion and your profit-making equation, which makes it a balanced approach to business. If you do not have either of the two, okay, if you are just focused on money, you will eventually come into a point where you'll start compromising on what you set out to do and you lose your way. The other way, if it's all passion and you're not looking at money, you'll eventually get to a position that, as you said, even a charity will not be sustainable. You cannot do good without getting some sort of money as an input to run your business, run your organization, whether profitable or a business. So in the business planning process, we start by telling them, tell us what is in your mind. So I sit with my customers first and we make a mind map. We sit and make a mind map saying, tell me all that you're thinking and let's take it down into a piece of paper. And that in a lot of way brings a sort of connectivity of thought to my customers who have been having everything in pieces lying all over the place and not knowing how to connect the dots. So this mind map gives them a direction saying, okay, we're going to start from A, you need to reach a B. How is the way you're going to get from A to B? That gives them some sort of direction. The second step, I have different frameworks that I've created, which are Excel sheets, which gives them a lot of mind-provoking thought process they have to get into. For example, we have a pricing mechanism, we have their marketing strategy, we have their identification of the niche, that are they really doing business in the place they want to do business with, and do they clearly know their customer base? Do they really know the potential of the market? I mean, are they getting into this just because they want to do it, or do they really know what they're talking about? So to evaluate to what level of depth they have gone into their business plan, we ask them to give us information which we put it into a standard framework. And all this come by the end of the exercise, when they're coming to the end, before we get into financials, they pretty much at least have got a clarity of thought. This is what I will do. So I tell them in every time they fill information that tomorrow, if a new employee comes into your company, you should just give him these 4 or 5 pieces of paper and he should be able to fully understand your business model. That is the way you need to design a business plan. Now, the financials you don't share with everybody. That is more confidential information. But principally, what do you want to do? What is your mechanism of generating leads? How are you going to market your product? What is your mission? These are things that everybody in the organization needs to know. So that's how we drive it top down, of course, because the mission comes from the top. But every employee should be engaged and should be driven at the same level, if not same level, at least in line with the passion of the person who is the organizational leader to get to the goal. Then they will work as one team and they will get to the goal. And the final step, we do a very detailed financial evaluation. We do a first quarter evaluation that we forecast what would be the profitability and the cash equation in the first 3 months. Then we do it for a year and we do it for 5 years. So we make them evaluate what is going to be their financial outlook in the short term as well as in the long term. Now, we understand that as you get further away from the reality, from the current period, you will be very inaccurate. It is understood that the further away you go, you cannot guess. It's just a guesswork. But at least you have a thought into what is going to be your pricing, how much you're going to sell, how much of market you have to capture to be able to keep yourself profitable. So thoughts that you need to think now helps you when you're implementing the process. Because at that time, you are in the middle of it. You are having challenges of manufacturing, you're having challenges of logistics, you're out there trying to get the customers to give you orders. At that time, you don't want to sit and do this evaluation. So this is done at the front end to try and keep you prepared. And we build multiple scenarios as well, saying that if it goes up, how would you manage the part of the supply as well as your input of cash that you need? Because even to sell more, you need to produce more, which is also additional cost. So that also we have as a scenario built up, and they are well prepared financially that we don't have the project stopping for need of funds, neither for cash flow or for turnover. They should have a clarity of how they are going to generate the profit in their organization. So that is how we keep the plan grounded in reality all the way from the beginning, right to the part of the implementation.
That's really awesome, Gren. Actually, like you transform a person from his passion to a profession, right? Like right from this thing. It is more like I could understand all your Excel sheets, how it's working, all these things. Of course, you put an Excel sheet, enter, then it multiplies, divides automatically. There is no error in that. Even if there is an error, you can find that. But in your this saying, I personally feel that apart from you are doing the process that setup, what you are telling from A to Z, from the beginning till the financial goal, everything, you also play any psychological role in the fine tuning the mindset of an entrepreneur or the businessman while uh, doing this planning process, Greg?
Very much, Captain. See, the biggest challenge you have is having people having their mind having clarity of mind where they are going to go. Okay. As
Actually,
yeah, please.
sorry to interrupt,
No problem.
because everybody comes with a mindset. Okay, and I expect, though I come to you as even if I go to a doctor, the patient go with the mindset that the doctor should say this,
Right.
and especially when it comes to business, there are so many things, and I know that the difficult task of connecting everything and bringing them into the great task you must be handling. Probably you can throw some light on that, Gren, because it is a great information for many of us whom who we think that we are actually in the right process, but maybe your the insights may give some light, throw some light on our how we need to deviate like that. Yeah.
So, Captain, you actually have said it perfectly. My whole goal of doing this planning exercise is to make them think. Okay. Now, see, balance, they say numbers don't lie, right? So, when you get to the financials, it will tell you whether you are going to make money or not. I mean, there's no two ways to it. You can make the numbers look good, you can make the numbers look bad, but you know you're fooling yourself if you're putting wrong numbers, right? So, that is a reality check that you come at the end. But at the very offset, a lot of people get into a business just because somebody told them this is a nice business to do, or somebody told them, oh, there's huge potential in the market for this product. Now, that is good to take input and good to try and find an opportunity. But jumping into something with your eyes closed is foolish. It's not risk taking. It is gambling. I would call it gambling than risk taking. Risk taking and gambling are two different things, right? Risk taking is taking risk with a certain level of information that makes the risk manageable. That is risk management. Gambling is that you are hoping things will turn out well. I mean, that never turns out well for most of the people. Okay, some people hit a lottery, or some people end up killing themselves or going bankrupt. So in my way of going with people is, I told you, the first step I do is I tell them, you've got a lot of things in your mind. Put it down on a piece of paper. So I make the mind map, which starts from their personal life. There's an element of their personal thoughts. So I ask them, what do you want in life? What are your goals in life? Forget about your business goals. What are your personal goals? When do you want to retire? Do you ever want to retire, or you feel you can never retire? You want to keep on working. So doing this business is a way of making sure that you're occupied till you pass away. If that is a goal, that's okay. If you do not want and you have a retirement goal, so you should plan for the next generation of leadership, right? So I make them think out their own personal lives first, because everybody is in something for themselves. Whether you're in business or you're doing a job, there's a certain personal element that drives you to do what you do. Even when I was employed, I found some employees very motivated and some people who didn't care. The people who were motivated were having either money as a goal or recognition as a goal. They had something that was driving them to give more. And some people just came there just because they were asked to go for a job. So they just came, attended the job, and they left. So there are people who have different levels of motivation even when you're employed. But for people who are getting into business, they need to clearly know what they're getting themselves into. So the mind map starts with them first telling me their personal life. I talk about what is your family? Is your family rich? I mean, does your family have a history that you are the next generation entrepreneur and you're trying to live up to the ideals of your father or your grandfather, which is the wrong thing to get into business for, right? You get into business because you want to do business, not because my 3 generations of people were doing business, right? So we make sure that the reasons for getting into business are properly defined. And it should finally boil down that I want to do the business for partly because I have a passion, I partly have a mission, and I also want to know that this will make me money. So these 3 things in combination will drive the business and keep you excited. I mean, being employed, you get a salary on the first of every month, but a business is very unpredictable. You could have profits, you could have loss, and you need to keep yourself motivated in both the situations, which is extremely difficult. It's easy to say, but very difficult to go through those swings in business. You and me are both entrepreneurs. We know how things are. Either it is a desert or it is an oasis. There's nothing in between, right? You either have too much or too little. There's never a position that everything is flat and things are running smooth. That doesn't work in entrepreneurial life. So my goal with everybody is to make sure that they prepare themselves and don't be surprised when they face these situations. When the situations are bad, they should be prepared. Okay, I am going to get it from here and I'm in the bottom of that swing. I am going to go back up to the top. And when they're on the top, they should set up buffers to take the next fall that's coming. So they should be able to adapt to these swings in their profession. That's what makes them successful and also the business successful.
It's nice. Yeah. Now, like a few things I actually got a grip from this is one is there is no ideal situation. Okay, I understand. Okay, it all looks, even in army we say like a tank fires, the two tanks move, then again this fire, the other two tanks move. Everything looks nice on the magnetic board with the toy tanks, but on ground it's totally different.
True.
Like a cyclone. They say it is 80 kilometers away with so much speed, nautical speed, and all these things and all. But every second, every minute, it changes.
True.
But so that is what that eventualities, how you psychologically mold the entrepreneur or businessman. There is no ideal situation as such. Everything you have to cater for it. And when you are thinking about this, I was just giving an example of poultry or all these cattle, all these things. Initially, when you give all your plan, you cater for the exigency plans and emergencies and all these things. And people follow that. But when they get a good harvest for the few seasons, like in a 3, 4, 5, then the crookedness comes into the mind. I am spending so much, but I have not got any disease, nothing. It is all going fine. Why should I pay for it? Why should I spend that? What is your cap on that, Gren? What is your advice for? Because all of us, it comes to our mind like we are spending unnecessarily. Somebody will advise. So what do you say on that?
See, Captain, they always say business is not does not stop or start. It is continuous, right? So you never plan your business for the short term. You always look about what next. You always, there's a saying in English that you always, it's more efficient how you manage your plan Bs than your plan As. Because the plan A is the ideal situation, right? You never plan for something to go wrong or something to go good. You only plan that it remains standard all through your life. But life is never standard. It's either up or it's down. So that is why you always need to make sure that you first have a plan B in place and you're always planning for that. As you said, if you have years of good, you should be investing that amount somewhere and keeping a buffer for when things will go bad, and they will surely go bad. There is never a business that goes only up. If it goes up, that means it is eventually going to fall as fast as it goes up. Okay, yes, you always have an initial spurt in a new business. And that is normal with every business because you're launching a new product, you have promotional material, you have a lot of advertising, you will have a spurt. But within a very short period of time, you will flatten out. And how well you manage the flatness of your business is what is going to be the efficiency of your business. That is when you hit your ideal level. Then you can just take very small incremental steps to take business up. You can't jump big jumps once you start a business. Just to tell you a story, okay, I was working with I was new at business planning and I was sitting with a sales director, okay, a stalwart of the industry, one guy who's been a long time in the industry that I was working in. And I was telling him, we're working on a 5-year plan. So I was telling him, so what growth are you expecting? He's saying, put 20%, put 30%. I was like, wow, we are already like at the capacity where you can produce product. So to get a 20%, 30% growth, you have to invest into a new factory. So I told him, do you realize that we need to invest in a new factory to serve this? He said, no. 20% growth doesn't mean we need to put a new factory. I said, but based on the number you're telling me, we don't have the capacity to produce so much. He was taken aback. Okay, he said, no, something is wrong with my math. And he says, no, not 30%, put 5%. I said, there's a big difference between 5% and 30%. It's a huge gap. Okay. So I said, how do you come up with this thought? He said, no. See, market is growing at a level of 10 to 15%. We should have a stretch goal. I said, if your market is growing at 15%, you can even stretch the goal. You can get to 16, 17%. And that itself is big because you are going for 17% above what you're selling today. That means you have to take business away from the competition. That means you have to compete. You have to get them to turn from another customer and buy from you. which is a big deal. It's not as simple as saying I get to 30%. So how can you give a forecast like this? The problem with most of the people, especially salespeople, they have a very optimistic thought that I will get it done by hook or by crook. And that is dangerous for business. People think overestimation is actually good. Overestimation is actually bad. I mean, conservative forecasting is equally bad, but over forecasting is they're dangerous because organizations, when they get big, they use this forecast to finance ahead. They get into investments ahead of time. So when you do a 5-year plan, you start planning on investments or on taking over some other company. So there are much more bigger implications when you're talking about long-term planning, when you're talking about giving a growth. So I tell everybody, we need to keep ourselves rooted in the practical part about how much you can achieve. And the main job of every planning person is to go back and challenge people and ask them that, are you really sure this number is going to get done? And I tell my planners, okay, we should be between 99% and 101% accuracy. 1% here and there is okay. Anything more than that, you need to have a plan B, because you're never going to hit 100%. That is for sure. But you cannot be 120% or 80%. That is too big a shock for any business to take. COVID that came in is an absurd occurrence that has happened, right? Absurd is the wrong word. It's a very unusual occurrence that happened because this is like 100% shutdown, right? Those are things you can never plan for. These are pandemics or catastrophes that come. But in general business, a 20% deviation is huge and would either be a loss for not having the product available or either having losing an opportunity which you could not serve. So we need to make sure that we are planning and keeping ourselves grounded in reality and making sure we achieve what we have to achieve.
Great, amazing, Gren. I got 2 points from this. One is that chew what you can eat, not eat whatever you can chew. Okay, so there is no end to it. Then you start biting everything, then there will be a choked in the throat. If it goes inside, digestive problem, then health problem, then it is a continuous process. That is well said. One has to be pragmatic in right from the planning stage till the end result. It is not that whoever says something just because somebody is doing some business in a better way, everybody can't do that, and every business cannot be done in every place every time. So one has to be actually planned for that. There you come into play. The other thing I really liked, one thing probably many of us, it would have gone unnoticed, was the retirement you said. Okay, there is a plan. Actually, in life, there is no retirement, Grant. Okay, whether you are in a job, whether you are in business, even if you're not doing both, even in life, there is no retirement till your last breath. You keep doing something, and for that, a planning is a must. Okay, so one has to actually plan for everything, for everything, even at home, what we need to do. It is a continuous process, and I think your service is again like there is no retirement for you as far as the planning and the process is concerned. And because every time you also, I know that you evolve with a lot of new ideas in your process, and that sketching the things for this thing. It was a real a knowledgeable session, Gren. Like to throw anything else, or probably we can go for a question and answer session?
I think you've covered most of the things. I just want to leave the viewers with one word, Captain. Whenever we plan, let us ensure that we are planning for the future, but keeping the present in mind. I mean, it's an oxymoron. We're trying to say two different things, but actually people either focus on the short term or focus on the long term. This is a tendency that every human being has. It's better to have a balanced approach to both. You cannot say I am going to make profit in 5 years and I'm going to be running a loss in the next 3 years. You will not get to the 5th year. That's as impractical as you could be. At the same time, if you are too focused on the short term, you'll be only worrying about cash flow and you'll never grow. So that is the other end of the spectrum that you can go to. So with everybody, I tell them, have a balanced approach in planning for the short term and the long term. And the point you made about retirement, you can retire from working. You can't retire from life. You will do something with yourself. Even if you sit quietly, that is doing something. Sitting quietly is doing something. It's how you manage yourself. Sitting quietly is the part where you're actually planning for. right? So you need to plan, how am I going to sit quietly? So it's as simple as that. So planning is an inherent part of everybody's life. It's how we take it and apply it is what gets us successful or brings us down in our failure. So that's about it, Captain, from my side.
Yeah. Any question answers? Anything
I
that
don't see. No, I think we lost the people when we went offline, Captain. We just have one person online. So if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment box. We will get back to you with your answers. And even in the video, we'll be posting a recording of this video online. You could leave your comments there and we'll be glad to answer those questions in either the YouTube or on my FB page.
And thanks a lot, Gren. It was, I don't know how the time passed. It just flew off. Good information, knowledge sharing session. And I look forward to for our continuous Thursday sessions for this half-an-hour session. And I'm sure in the next session, you will throw more lights on the further details about generally it's like in a management, the principles of management, the 7 principles, it always started planning, organizing, coordinating like that. So planning is the first, but it is the first, second, and even the last also is the planning continues, and your service also continues, and we will keep inspiring with the your thought process to open as a knowledge sharing sessions in the continuous weeks to come. It's an excellent session, Gren. Thank you very much. And I personally picked up quite a few points for my own implementation and planning. Thank you, Gren. All the very best.
Thank you, Captain. It was a pleasure as usual talking to you. We'll be in touch during the next week, but definitely back on next Thursday with something from you this time. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Great, Captain. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody. And we'll post this recording on the social media for your comments. Thank you.